Moving to a new city is scary enough, especially one that you're not familiar with. So imagine moving there, you're unfamiliar with the city, you don't know the layout, you don't know anything about it, you get there, but then find out you can't afford it. You know, it's one thing to look at housing costs, because that's arguably your biggest expense. What about getting your car registered there? What about childcare costs? What about groceries? What about utilities? What about the maintenance on your house, HOA, all of this other stuff, all of these hidden fees that catch you off guard moving into an area. So in this video, I'm breaking down all of those. We're going into a deep dive. I'm breaking all of these down. Let's begin. So the number one most important cost is going to be your largest cost when you move to an area, and that's going to be your housing cost. Now, you may be renting, you may be buying. We're going to break both of those down in here, but one thing I want to make sure that you pay attention to is location, location, location. I have talked about this in other videos, and I caution people when you're doing your research on Atlanta, you're typically just putting in, cost of living in Atlanta. Well, that area is literally 500,000 people. There's 6.5 million people in the Atlanta metro area. So as you can imagine, most of your population, most of your expenses are all out in the suburbs. It's outside of the perimeter. The perimeter is the loop that goes around our city. Well, inside that perimeter, that's the city of Atlanta. So it's very deceiving when you look at even crime rates. The crime rate inside Atlanta is vastly different than out in the suburbs. Same with the housing costs, same with everything. And I'll give you an example. So we're gonna look at the top 4 suburbs on the north side of town, compare those to 4 on the south side of town, and look at the difference in these prices. And this is what I mean by it's so important to understand the location. So Marietta, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, and Milton. These are 4 of arguably the most popular on the north side of town. Marietta's median home price is $550,000. Alpharetta's, which is the next suburb over, is $761,000. So we're already $220,000 difference in a couple of miles. Get into Johns Creek, it goes up to $920,000. So now we're almost $500,000 higher than Marietta. And again, it's 20 minutes away. Milton, way up on the north side of town, $1.3 million is the median home price. So you can see there is a vast difference, and all 4 of these suburbs are literally 20, 30 minutes from each other. They're all in the same area. So it's very important to understand where you're going, understand the suburbs, and what those costs are for that area. And a lot of that's driven by the schools in there. These are top rated schools on the north side of town. So you see a correlation between home prices and the schools. Let's look on the south side. Noonan, $371,000. Can you see the difference? We are a massive difference down on the south side of town. It's much more rural down on the south side, much more spread out. Your dollar goes a lot longer, or a lot further, but you don't have the amenities, all the shopping, all the stuff that they have on the north side. McDonough, $369,000. Jonesboro, $273,000 is the median home price. So again, vast different. Well, right up the road, Peachtree City, which is also on the south side, that's $680,000. So again, you have a wide range of median home prices, and that's super important, understanding the location. Now, these are all single family homes. If you're looking at a townhome or a condo, you can calculate about 20% less than those prices I just gave you. That's going to be the townhomes and the condos in those areas. Now, on the rent side, let's say you're moving to Atlanta and I just want to rent for a while, a 3-bedroom house around $2,000, $2,500. You get up to a 4-bedroom, it goes $2,500 to $3,000 per month. And an apartment, about $1,400 a month for a 1-bedroom, $1,700 to $2,000 for a 2-bedroom. Of course, it depends on your luxuries and all the upgrades and everything. And then the same with townhouses and condos, it runs about that same price. So I mentioned we're gonna be talking a lot about the hidden fees when moving to an area in this video. And the first one that comes up quite a bit is HOA, that's homeowners associations. Now, if you're unfamiliar with HOAs, these are associations that usually run by neighborhoods that they control, how the neighborhood looks, what you can do to your house. You can't have a fluorescent pink house next to a modern contemporary house, So they put rules and regulations on how a neighborhood looks, taking care of your property. There's pros and cons to it. Sometimes they can get out of hand. I got a letter one day because my mulch wasn't updated, and they can fine you. And that's the other crazy part. So, and why this is important is over 60% of the homes are in HOA organizations. Now, I get a lot of requests. When people move here, say, I don't want to be a part of an HOA. That's a smart move. However, when you don't have that, it's a free-for-all. And so your neighbors can park in the yard, they can pull their boat up in their yard, they can leave trash out, they can do whatever. It's their property, it's private property, they can do whatever they want. That's without an HOA. With an HOA, they are strict, they stay on it. There's certain things you can't do, like you can't let your mulch run low, you can't get your grass get too high. I've got a notice on that one time too. I think my mailbox wasn't painted. They sent me one for that. So I personally am not a big fan of them. I do like how they keep my neighborhood looking really nice, but sometimes they can be a little bit annoying. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is when people move here and they don't know about HOAs, that's an HOA fee that you have to pay most of the time monthly or annually, and it varies greatly. It's usually dependent on what that HOA is doing for the property. Like sometimes if you have a tennis court or you have a pool, or there's maintenance costs that go into those. And the bigger the subdivision, the bigger the pools, the bigger the cost. And it just goes up and up and up. Now, one of the things, and of course it varies across the board. So I've seen them as low as $100 a year. I've seen them as high as $10,000 a year. Again, depending on if you're in a country club. The country clubs, you have golf fees, you have a lot of fees that go along with the maintenance of the course, etc. So they have to pay into that in order to live in that subdivision. Now, here's my warning. If you are buying a townhome or a condo, you have to pay attention to the HOA cost. They get outrageously expensive. Now, I don't know why. I wish there was a formula that said exactly why they are so expensive versus a single family home, because in the single family home, you have a pool, you got a tennis court, you got pickleball courts, you got maintenance of the common grounds, you got a whole lot in there. On the townhomes and the condos, sometimes they take care of your trash, they may take care of your utilities, they take care of the exterior maintenance of your facility, the roof, and on and on. So, but again, when you're buying a place, and let's say it's $400,000, well, if your HOA is $500 a month, you can see how fast that would add up. And I've seen it like that. I've seen it $700 a month. So it gets crazy with the townhomes and the condos. Not so bad with the HOA, but it is something to pay attention to. So if you're looking to buy here and you're moving to this area, ask your realtor, do your research. The homes you're looking at, ask them, are they part of an HOA organization? What does the HOA cover specifically? And how do you have to pay that? Is it monthly? Is it annually? So it is a hidden cost. You have to pay attention to it. It gets very high at some times. So something to pay close attention to. Guys, for those of you that live in Georgia, leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think about the HOAs here. Are you a part of one? Are you not a part of one? Are they good? Are they bad? Do they help your neighborhood? Leave some comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys that live here in the area and what your thoughts are on the HOA. Let's keep going. Before we go further in here, I need to formally introduce myself. My name is Anthony Laborde. I'm a realtor here in Atlanta. I make these videos about moving here. Love helping people. Love getting you guys moved here and finding homes. If you like this content and you want to see more of it, please hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I got tons and tons of actually, this is my list over there. My topics coming out over the next number of weeks and months of new videos about moving here. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Also down below, if it's not there right now, it's coming soon. I'm putting together a guide on this cost of living. So I know I'm throwing a lot of figures, a lot of topics at you. This is a heavy data rich video. I'm gonna put a guide down below that you can click on, you can print it out, you can have it at your hands. I'm also gonna have a guide of vendors, of different vendors for different categories. You need plumbers, electrical, whatever you need, hit me up and I will have a guide in there for you, but let's keep going. Another hidden cost that often catches people off guard when moving to Georgia are the property taxes. And the reason why is it's almost impossible to calculate your property taxes because it's done, number one, by the value of your home, the assessed value of your home. That can change from appraiser to appraiser. It's also done by the county. So if you live in Cobb County versus Fulton County versus Cherokee County, all of those are gonna have different methods on how they calculate your property taxes. So my advice when you're moving to Georgia, talk to your realtor, hopefully I'm that guy, determine what county that you're looking in, then look up the county rates and look at the value of the homes that you're looking at, and you can calculate it that way. Again, it's gonna vary across the board. I believe the lowest in the state of Georgia is about $300 for the year. That's a county in the south part of the state. And then Fulton County, which is right here in Atlanta, has the most expensive property taxes, and they average around $2,500 a year. But there's also ways to reduce that. I have a video somewhere up here and on my channel about the homestead exemption tax. So this is a tax break on your property taxes. Each year, if you bought a home this year At the beginning of next year, between January the 1st and April the 1st, you want to file that homestead tax exemption. You don't have to do it again after that. You just do it one time. That gives you a massive, massive tax break on your property taxes. Within that homestead, you can also have other levels. So if you're military, if you were married to a military who passed away, if you're a senior citizen, there's a few different categories in there, but super important when you buy a home, talk to your realtor about the homestead tax exemption. That's going to reduce your property taxes drastically. Staying on the topic of home maintenance, another cost that usually catches people off guard are the utilities here. There's a couple different reasons why. Number one, with the heat level in Georgia during the summer months, you can anticipate your electric bill is going to be through the roof. Now, it's going to vary from provider to provider. If you go to, and here's a website, you can write this down. I'll put it down here in the bottom as well. It's called findenergy.com. Now, regardless of where you're at in the United States, you can use this site. You go on there, you can put in your address, your zip code, whatever that is, identify where you're at. It's going to break down all the providers in that area for you, all of their rates, all the information you need to make an educated decision. So that's a super, super helpful site. Again, breaks down all of the energy providers. So that's like solar, I think natural gas is on there, obviously electricity is on there, and compares all of them. Now, I'll give you an idea. So I live in a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, about 3,700 square feet, nothing extravagant, just me and my wife and my dog live here. This past month, though, our electric bill was $252. That's insanely high. We average about $150 a month throughout the year, but summer months, when it gets this hot and your house is this hot and you got to run your AC almost 24 hours a day, prepare for the 3 or 4 or 5 months during the year it to be really, really high. Now, the other piece of it is the water bill. I'm part of Cobb County Water. I have a lawn sprinkler system, so we do run that regularly. That's sewer, water, everything. Last month, $74.14. That was my water bill. So that's about average. So you can anticipate about $100, actually a little bit less because I run my lawn sprinkler system if you're budgeting. The other thing in there, trash pickup. So we pay the city of Marietta to pick up our trash, and that's about $20 a month as well. A couple of other items on here that you should pay attention to if I can find my notes. So if you have a house and you have a yard on there and you want to do yard maintenance, if you want to pay somebody to do it, or you can do it on your own. So again, there's a cost either way. You're going to have to buy lawn equipment, however, lawnmower, whatever. Now, I have a service that comes and does my yard. I also have a fertilizer company that comes out and fertilizes the lawn. Weed Man. That's the greatest name for a lawn company. It's called My Weed Man. They do a phenomenal job. They fertilize my lawn, all the weeds, everything. The lawn looks great. Now, my service to get it mowed, I get it mowed every other week, and I pay $60 each time. So it's $120 a month for the service to mow it. On the Weed Man and the fertilizer, I pay about $80 a month. And then again, they come out, they treat it. Remember the beginning of the video when I was talking about HOA organization? If you have weeds in your yard and you live in an HOA, you're gonna get a letter. So it's beneficial to either do it yourself or pay for it. Again, $120 to have it mowed, and then I pay about $80-ish each month to have it fertilized, weed control, all that other thing. So that is also a cost that goes into it. Pest control. This is something you got to be concerned about here in Georgia. With the heat, with the woods, you get a lot of insects, you get like pests in the house. Sometimes they can get up in the attic. So there's a cost for that as well. That typically runs about $100 each month for pest control. Another cost you need to be wary of is insurance. Now, you're required to have home insurance here, but if you also want to look into life insurance or pet insurance or flood insurance, and again, something you got to pay attention to. If you buy a home here in Georgia and there's a creek, a stream, a lake, a pond, anything water reserve near you, you may be required to buy flood insurance. And again, when you're purchasing the home, make sure you're having this conversation with your realtor. They can tell you exactly, they can pull up on the FEMA map, tell you exactly where the flood zones are if you need flood insurance. We can also help you calculate all the insurance costs. Now, there's 2 websites I want you to write down. I'll put the links down below. But the first one is Money Geek, is that right? Yeah, moneygeek.com, M-O-N-E-Y geek.com, and then clarkhoward.com. Clarkhoward.com, he's an economist here in Atlanta. He's got a national show, so maybe you've heard of him, but his website is all about saving money. And he has a lot of good links on there, a lot of good tips on his website. But then the moneygeek.com, that's all of your insurances. So home insurance, renter's insurance, pet insurance, life insurance, you name it, you can go on there and find out all of the companies, all the insurance rates, and all the prices. You can compare them. Again, it's going to vary across the board. Just depends on your specific situation. But those are two great sites to bring your costs down overall, your utility cost, everything with ClarkHoward.com. But then Money Geek will bring your insurance costs down if you calculate those on there. Arguably, the one thing that catches most people off guard when they're buying a home, it's not the price of the home, it's not insurance, it's not HOA fees, it's not property taxes, it's the home maintenance. So think about this. You spend all your money for the down payment, get into the house that you got approved for at your maximum budget. You've spent everything. It's the home of your dreams. You get moved in and you have a plumbing leak, electrical fire, a roof leak, a whatever. There's a million different things that can go wrong with a house once you get moved in. Now, a couple of things. First of all, when you buy a house, again, work with your realtor on this. Get a home warranty. This is invaluable. They usually cost $500, $600, good for a year. They'll cover almost anything that goes wrong in the house. It is absolutely worth the money. There's some that are better than others, but anticipate about $600, $700. You can pay more to get more coverage. So if you have a pool, get coverage on that. If you have multiple refrigerators, get extra coverage for all that stuff. So you can pay a little bit more, but it's super, super valuable. On average, we see about $2,000 to $5,000 a year just for regular maintenance on the house. That could be hot water heater, septic system, security system, your fence, windows. Going down this list here, gutter cleaning. That's another thing here in Georgia with all the pine trees, all the leaves. You have so many forests here. You're going to have to get your gutters cleaned at your house or they will clog up. Water will run over. It causes foundation problems, wrecks the side of your house. So that's an important cost. If you're painting every couple of years, landscape, I mentioned that, pest control, roof maintenance, HVAC, you can go down the list. Now, on average, and I mentioned $2,000 to $5,000, again, depending on the size of your house, what you want done to it, and all the maintenance, etc. But also set aside 1% to 2% of your home's value. Let's say it's $300,000 home. $3,000 a year of unexpected cost. And again, you just never know. And you don't want to be in that situation where you've spent all your money on a house, you're mortgage poor, you've dumped everything into it, something breaks, then you're really screwed. So something to think about. Make sure you put aside that money each year for home maintenance on your home. Doesn't even make sense. So now that the sticker price of owning a home is starting to wear off, or I've just talked you out of owning a home here in Georgia, let's talk about your vehicle. So if you're moving from out of state and you're coming here, you have to transfer your vehicle into the state of Georgia. So there's a few different things you have to be wary of. Number one, your driver's license. You got to get a Georgia driver's license. That's going to cost about $32. Go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, get your new picture, get your ID, all that other stuff. That's $32. There's a title fee on your car. That's going to be $18. There's a tag and registration fee. That's $20. A little tag on the bottom of your driver's license, or on your license plate, I should say. Emissions testing. This is another one that some people don't know about. Here in Georgia, if your car is of a certain age, you're required to do emissions testing each year, have it pass in order to get your updated tags on your car. That costs about $25 each time, and it is required. The two other big ones are your title ad valorem tax. That's a one-time fee. It's 6.6% of the vehicle's fair market value. Here's an example. If your car is worth $20,000, 6.6% of that is $1,320. Yes, that's substantial. It's a one-time fee, but it's not a small one. That's a big fee. The other one is the annual ad valorem tax. So this is a tax you got to pay every year. It's different than the title ad valorem, which is over $1,000. This one can vary. Again, it varies on your car's value, but it can be anywhere between $100 to $500 a year. So you have the one-time fee. You have all those to get your license, registration, car tags, etc. It's not cheap. It adds up fast, but a lot of people don't realize that when they're moving to Georgia. You got to drive. We're not a walkable city. You need a car to live here, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But that's the fees to to get your car registered. Now, the other things that I wanted to talk about are the gas prices. All across the country, you know, gas is crazy. One of the sites, and this will help out, and I'm not going to quote any prices right now because it ranges all over the city, anywhere between, you know, $2.50 up to almost $4 a gallon. It's all over the place. But if you go to gasbuddy.com, this is a great site to go to. This compares all of the prices all over the city. So even if you're like driving around the city, you check out this site and it'll tell you which gas stations have the cheapest prices and what those prices are. It's a super, super helpful tool if you're gonna be driving here in Georgia. The other thing is parking. If you're gonna be parking anywhere in the city, it does cost money. If you're parking in downtown, midtown, anywhere around there, there's another site called parkopedia.com. Again, this shows you a map of the entire city. Let's say you work downtown or you work midtown. This will show you all the parking lots all around your area and how much it costs to park there. So it's parkopedia.com. Great, great site. Anytime I'm showing homes or in downtown or midtown, I always check out where the cheapest place to park is because it can be $5 one place and $20 right up the block. So it's a big difference. Last thing is car insurance. You're required to have automobile insurance here in Georgia. I mentioned a few minutes ago, moneygeek.com. That's the site you go to. Again, it'll show you all of the different rates, all the different companies, all the coverages, et cetera, et cetera. It's all over the place, but moneygeek.com, Parkopedia, when it comes to driving here in Georgia, two great sites you should take note of. Staying on the topic of transportation, I mentioned you have to have a car here in Georgia. We are not a walkable city. You have a couple of suburbs that, you know, you can walk around their little downtown areas, but we are so spread out. You have to have a car here. Now, we do have public transportation. I will say that it sucks. Our MARTA system here is not good at all. And part of the reason why it's just very limited. It's limited to basically the city of Atlanta. So inside the perimeter is really where the rails and the buses go. The second you get outside the perimeter, the public transportation is horrible. It just doesn't go out in this area. There has been debates and debates and debates over the years as to why. They've tried to move Cobb Link out here, which is a Cobb County public transportation. But when you talk about the entire city, absolutely not. I would not be depending on public transportation. Get you a car, pay the fees, go on to Parkopedia, understand where to park. It's just, it's not the most efficient. So if you think you're gonna come here and it's gonna be like a New York or Chicago and we got a great rail system, and we don't, sorry. So the final large category that can get super expensive super fast is childcare. Many people don't think about that either when you're coming to a new area. Is you got to take care of your kids. Now, obviously, public schools here are free, but if you have preschoolers, if you need babysitting, if you go to private school, Montessori school, there's a lot of different fees for that type of education. I'm going to run through them real quick. And by the way, first of all, there's a great way to save a ton. I save a ton of money in this category by not having kids. Just kidding. But I don't. So this is a little bit unfamiliar with me. I had to tap into some of my family friends that have children and these prices, but just talking to them and interviewing them, whew, man, it can add up super, super fast. And I'll give you an example. So preschool costs, I'm gonna read off my list here. If you did full-time care for a preschool in a daycare center, that can run anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 per month. That's for full-time care. If you have in-home care, instead of going to a daycare center, it's about the same cost. So anywhere between $1,000, actually a little bit cheaper just because they're at your house, but about $700 up to $1,500 per month. Oh my gosh, that adds up fast. Preschool programs, if you're in a private school, again, $1,000 to $1,800 per month. If it's a church-affiliated preschool, which we have quite a bit of those here, that price comes down substantially. You're about $500 to $1,000 a month, still a big, big cost. Montessori schools, this is a customized, unique education. If you know anything about it, you know what I'm talking about. If not, look it up. But those range between $1,200 and $2,000 per month. Plus they have additional fees and stuff in there, technology fees and other stuff. So again, gets super expensive really fast. Finally, on the private schools. So if you're doing a private school, elementary, middle school, high school, all around the same price. So you're looking at from $1,200 up to $2,500 per month in the private school. And again, technology fees, extracurricular activities, supplies, sports. You have to budget all that in there. And again, it gets really expensive really fast. Now, the flip side of that is we have fantastic public schools here in Georgia. I mentioned earlier, we were talking about the north side of town. Cobb County, Fulton County, Alpharetta, Milton, these are all top ranked schools in the entire state and in the country. So my advice, unless you're going to do a homeschool or something, I mean, our public schools are great. I don't know if I'd spend the money on that private school, but what do I know? I don't have kids. Finally, the final category that I want to talk about, and I'm not going to throw any prices out on these, but when you're making a budget, and this is really to move anywhere, but especially here in the Atlanta metro area, because we have a unique area, there are extra fees that you have to calculate. And I'll give you some examples. So just eating out. Now we have a ton of restaurants here in Atlanta. I love eating out. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. I love trying new cuisines and all the nice restaurants and even the crappy ones. I like barbecue. I go to barbecue joints all the time. I like good Mexican food. But we have some really high-end restaurants here that you would love to go out and get on the town. So that's a budget in itself. Gym memberships. We're a very active state. I work out quite a bit. I'm in jiu-jitsu, also do some weightlifting, but those are fees. If you're going to do any type of extracurricular activity in terms of gyms or martial arts or anything, you have to calculate that in there. We're also a big bike riding city. So if you are into biking can get really expensive. That's a budget line item. Movies, theaters, concerts. We have a ton of theaters here, a lot of plays. We have the Fox Theater here. My wife and I go to plays all the time. Absolutely love it. Again, that price can be all over the place depending on where you sit and who you're seeing. Baseball games, football games. We're a massive sports city. So if you want to go to any of those events, you want to budget those prices in there. Golfing. We're a big golf community. We're a big equestrian community. So Milton up on the north side, that is known for all of the horseback riding, the stables there. That's an expensive sport, golfing. You golfers out there know how expensive that can get. And the last one is national parks. We have a lot of national parks here in Georgia. I love hiking, I love running, climbing. And so these parks sometimes have fees, they have parking fees. So all of that adds up. So as you can see, we took a deep dive into costs on this one. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it gives you an idea of what it's like to live here, what it costs to live here. Hopefully I haven't scared you away, but I really wanted to give you a good idea and really trying to get your wheels turning on when you're budgeting for the area, all of the items that you have to consider, and many of these go overlooked constantly, a lot of these hidden fees. So hopefully this helped. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like this video, leave some comments down below about what you thought on it. What kind of fee, did I miss anything? Did I miss any fees of living here in Georgia? And also, you know, the HOA, tell me about that. Love to hear from you guys. I return all my messages. I hope you guys are great. Hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time, take care.